So, anejadekam manaso javiyo naina deva apnuvan purvamarshate tadhavato jnanatyeti tishtat tasminnapo matarishva dadhati. அதான் ஸ்லோகம். ஓகே, இப்போ இதில் when we look at the word meaning, anejat ekam manasah javiyah. So anejat ekam manaso javiyo is anejat ekam manasah javiyah. Nainad deva word when you split it, it splits as na enat devaha, na enat deva apnuvan purvam arshat. Apnuvan purvam arshat. Then tad dhavato jnanatyeti. Tat dhavatah anyan atyeti. Atyeti tishtat. Tasmin apaha matarishva dadhati. Matarishva dadhati. So this is the padacheda, the word meaning. இதில் பார்த்தோம்னா உங்களுக்கு இந்த சந்தஸும் மாறுறது. இந்த இடத்துல இந்த சந்தஸ் இஸ் லைக் திஸ் இல்லையா? அசூர்யா நாம தே லோகா அந்தேன தமசாவிருதாக தாம்ஸ்தே பிரேத்யாபிகச்சந்தி ஏகே சாத்மஹனோ ஜனாஹ. இந்த இடத்துல எப்படியா அனேஜதேகம் மனசோ ஜவியோ நைன தேவ ஆப்னுவன் பூர்வமர்ஷத். இது இது பகவத்கீதையில் கூட you would have noticed there are two kinds of chandas that appears, right? One is the Gayatri chandas, previous one. This is a different chandas.
Guru Nahatva.
Guru Ama, correct. So nariya shlokas irukku which appears in a longer phrase. Okay. So so this is the what is this? The fourth mantra. So just to do a quick recap on the first three mantras. Wait a second. So first three, just to bring a context. See, the Upanishad is in a way it is complete. It covers several aspects, but it covers it in எப்படி சொல்றது, ஒரு மாதிரி ஒரு thematically cover பண்றது. So the first three shlokas had a certain theme that was there, right? Iśāvāsya sarvam adu. The second one was kurvanneveha karmani. Third one is asurya namate loka. So these three had a certain theme. So it said, how should we approach? How should the vision be? How should one perceive the world? So primarily, the study when you study spirituality, there are primarily three things that you're looking at. One is the world with this jagat. The second is Ishvara, which is some external force than you, which has created this. And then you, Jiva. So Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Jiva, first what you recognize is yourself. Then you recognize that there is a world, Jagat. Then you start investigating and trying to find out, I am here, there is a world that I see, I didn't create this world, there must have been something else that would have created this. Who or what is that created this? Is when you start into this journey of investigation. So that's third is Ishvara, right? Now there is a possibility that you may get stuck with this Ishvara as this entity which is outside, and you propitiate that entity on the outside. You may get stuck with that. I find myself as Jiva, I find there is a world, and then through my experience and through what people have told me, through the scriptures, I see there is an Ishvara. And then I start propitiating him and I finish there. It's a possibility that my journey may end there, in terms of possibly for this life my journey may end there. But then not all of us are satisfied with that, right? So that is where you go further and investigate what is this Ishvara, what is this creator that we are talking about, who this is. Where does it appear? He appears in so many different forms. And then you go through that whole journey and then you figure out, then the journey starts coming backwards then. It moves backwards and it starts coming into us. That is the real journey. So we are all at a stage where we are trying to go into this journey of inward exploration. We are not exploring the outside. We are not trying to figure out why Vamana Avatara was short and why Narasimha Avatara was in this form, or why Devi appears in this form. We are not trying to investigate those aspects, right? And we are not trying to break down the world and trying to investigate the ephemeral or the phenomenal world through scientific investigation. No. There's a world of science that is doing that. So this investigation is essentially turning you back inwards. Try to figure out that there is something that there is a circle that has been created. We all realize this circle. There's something that's going in from here, has gone outside, or the investigation has started from here, is going outside, but then you realize that the experience of the world is actually generating from here within. Correct? So it has to make a U-turn and come back and start. The exploration has to start inside. So the first 3 shlokas are pointing out that how one should perceive and get onto this sadhana. See, the first 3 shlokas instantly introduce you into the sadhana. Iśāvāsya Upanishad, and then Kurvanneveha Karmani, and Asurya Namatenuga. It is instantly introducing into the way in which we should start being, the way you should perceive the world, the way you should perceive yourself, the world, and that which you see as beyond. So, this process is happening in the first 3 shlokas. Right? And then you're saying you have the Nivruti Marga, which is you renounce. Renounce means letting go. There is one minor difference between giving up and letting go. Correct? When I say, and this is the misconception that people carry of renunciation as giving up. You may give up things here, but if you don't let go, wherever you go, you will stick on to things. So letting go is the ability to drop the stickiness that you carry on yourself. Giving up is not a great, it's not an important act. There is an interesting story of one, just occurred to me. There is a man, there's a boatman, there's a priest, there's a scholar, a very well-versed scholar, somebody who's understood the scriptures, who gives talks and all of that. So he's a very well-known scholar. And he is having to cross a river. And he gets onto the boat. So he has won some competition. The king has given him some wealth, and he's carrying that, and he's coming onto the boat. And the boatman, simple man, he's got stuff on his boat, but a simple boatman, he's trying to take him across the river. And the river gets onto. So while the boat is going, the scholar is talking to the boatman, saying that he starts talking to him about philosophical truths, telling him about, have you read this text? Have you read the Bhagavad Gita? Have you read the Upanishads? Have you read this? Have you read that? And he says, Swami, I don't know. I've not read any of that. I don't know any of that. Then he says, then he keeps going like that for a little while. Then the river gets into a flood. And then the boatman says, Swamiji, the river is getting into a flood, we have to be careful, hold on to the boat and all that. And then he says, Swamiji, you asked me all these questions. I've not learnt any of this. I don't know any of this. But do you know swimming? He says, sorry, for that I didn't learn. When the boat is going to capsize, all that knowledge is not going to save him. Now that is one part. The second thing, the important thing that is wanting to point out, is while the boat is going, the boatman is telling this Swami or the scholar that we will have to lighten the boat. Okay? And whatever is in the boat, he has to now throw off, because once you lighten the boat, only the boat, then it can go properly. Otherwise, the boat, there's a chance that the boat may capsize. So he starts throwing off, and he tells the scholar, can you now give off the wealth or whatever belongings that you're carrying, can you throw it into the water so that the boat can become light? And this man struggles to give that up. Now on one side, he has been giving him lectures on philosophical truths and renunciation and all of that. And when the actual hour of need is there, when you have to throw to survive, he is unable to do that. And so then boatman says, then you are unable to bring your knowledge into practical experience, into practical application. What is the use of such knowledge? So the important thing is because the important thing is we have to now consume the knowledge in the way it makes sense to me and apply it in the way it makes sense to me. Because on one side we start glorifying people who have dropped everything and taken up renunciation, but we don't know how their internal processes are. And we tell ourselves, we beat ourselves saying that, oh, I am not able to renounce, I am not able to do this, I am still stuck here and all of that. But it doesn't make any difference whether you are sitting here and you are internally able to let go. You are better off than the person who has actually given up and not able to let go. So these are important things that we have to monitor within ourselves and then try to see how we absorb this knowledge. How do we make it our own? And then after that, once this knowledge becomes our own, when somebody else asks us, we will be able to give an interpretation of our own of what my life understanding is, rather than making references to this, that and the other, right? So the difference here, the Upanishad also, which is why in the first shloka also you would notice, it says, Tyaktena bhunjitha, let go and enjoy. Let go, rejoice. Let go and rejoice. See, this first shloka itself of Iśāvāsya Upanishad is like so phenomenally deep that if we just take that one shloka itself and we understand it well and we ruminate on it, is sufficient to make us understand how one should look at the world, how one should look at ourselves, and how one should live. Right? So let go and rejoice. Let go and enjoy. Tyaktena bhunjitha. This is the underlying essence of the first phrase. Or in fact, if you look at the whole Iśāvāsya Upanishad, Iśāvāsyam idam sarvam. All that is here is enveloped by this Isha, this creator. That is one main underlying truth. The second line is Tyaktena bhunjitha. So now you know this Isha is everywhere, and this Isha is this power, Brahman, you call it whatever, is the one that's all pervading, consciousness that is there. Hence you know this, then what you do? You let go and rejoice. Finished. So for a very, very, very subtle mind that is able to capture this, instantly this person would know, would have understood the truth of life. And that's all it is. And everything else around, in the Upanishad, everything around is essentially just to explain this in a little more detail, the same idea, and try to impress upon the same idea in more detail. Right? So the first three shlokas, it is essentially, and which is why Iśāvāsya Upanishad is also chanted in homas and all of that. I said it's a mantra. It is not just a shloka, it is a mantra. It's a mantra because it has the difference between what a shloka and a mantra is. Shloka is stuti, which means you do it in praise of somebody. You do it in praise. And of course, through the praise, you also have philosophical truths embedded in that. But mantra, the word mantra is formed by mananat trayate iti mantraha. Mananat trayate. There are two ways of looking at this word mananat trayate. One is to say trayate, trahimam pahimam. We say this, you've heard of this phrase. Trahimam pahimam means protect me, rescue me. So the mantra is supposed to rescue you from what? Trayate, from the mind. So mantra is essentially something that helps you rescue you from the conditionings of your mind. So that is why when we chant a mantra with a reasonable understanding of the mantra and with the right intention, then it can actually rescue you from the conditionings of the mind. Right? Manana trayate iti mantraha. The other meaning is also it binds the mind. Which means katti podradunu solluvala. The mind goes all over the place. So by mantra you bind the mind. Bind the mind to where? The place you want to be. You want the mind to be. Because mind is a beautiful tool. This is a tool that is developed and evolved over centuries of human evolution. In evolution, the mind that we have achieved as human beings is the most sophisticated tool that we have achieved. We are able to imagine, we are able to process, we are able to plan, we are able to do things that we intend to do. So it's a fabulous tool. But the tool is all over the place. It's like my hand, if it starts moving like this all the time in all directions, I'll not know when it will hit somebody or something. I don't know what it will do. So the mind is like that. Just imagine the mind like an organ which is just moving all over the place. Parkinson's disease, you see people, they can't control their organs, right? It keeps moving in a very uncontrollable way. So we've got Parkinson's of the mind. That's why you call it as mental diarrhea. Uncontrollable flow of thoughts. And the problem is not the flow of thoughts. The problem is we following those thoughts. We run behind them with the diarrhea. So, mantra, this is why this is called a mantra, because in Iśāvāsya Upanishad, you pick each one of the mantra up, and then it essentially it brings your mind to that state within you where it makes you receptive to certain fundamental truths. So this is what has happened in the first three shlokas. Now the fourth one is, we are saying, now we are describing how the Atma is. What is this entity that we are identifying that as Isha. In the first shloka, it is called as Iśāvāsya Sarvam. So that Isha that we have identified in the first shloka, you are trying to describe, because see, we have to remember the first shloka is saying Iśāvāsyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat, means that Isha is present in everything, which means it's also present in me. This is how the first, the Shanti mantra of Iśāvāsya Upanishad or this Yajurveda is also that. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Which means everything here is complete. Purnam Adaha, that is complete, this is complete. This is what the Shanti Mantra says. And then it says that Iśāvāsya Idam Sarvam. Everything here is this Isha. And when we say everything here, it means me also. So then the investigation goes that what is this Isha? So the fourth shloka says, Aneja ekam manaso javiyo nainadeva apnuvan purvamashat. So which means it says that now, the important thing to now note is in this shloka and this mantra and the next mantra, the Upanishad is introducing contradiction. Okay. Now, before getting into the mantra, let me give you a certain Upanishads or any of these scriptures, you will see there are a lot of contradictions. It will seemingly contradictory. That is because what these scriptures are trying to do is they're trying to describe something that is undescribable. See, when something is undescribable, what do you do? Suppose you say somebody has never tasted a mango in his life. What will you do? You will try to describe a mango with whatever you know that possibly this guy may know. Which means you will try to tell it's like sweet like sugar. Then he'll think, oh, is it sugar? No. It's sweet like sugar, but it's, pulpy like ice cream, something like that you'll say. Oh, is it so soft like ice cream? No, but it's also fibrous like a banana. Oh, so now he has to create his image using all the multiple information that you're giving. So it's soft, it's pulpy, it's fibrous, it is sweet, it's juicy. And then you'll say, hey, but raw mango is none of that. Because we now gotten an idea of mango, maybe mango is like this, and then you present to him a raw mango, he'll say, but this is none of that. So how do you fit experience into description? So that is why poetry came into existence, because people found that experience cannot be defined through words. They started defining it through, you look like the moon. They say that somebody looks like the moon. Actually, if you go and see the moon from close, it looks so ugly. There are so many craters on the moon, right? If you look at satellite view of the moon, does the moon look beautiful? No. But from here, when you see the moon, it looks resplendent, beautiful. So you make a reference saying, the experience that I get when I see the moon on a full moon night, that experience I'm trying to translate it to when I see your face. Right? So we have to understand that what we are trying to describe when we get into more a deeper understanding of what is consciousness, what is spirit, because we recognize that possibly I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not all of these processes, but there is something else that's operating in me. We are trying to describe the undescribable, indescribable. So when you do that, it will invariably bring contradictions. So this is one thing that we have to understand about the scriptures. Because what happens is, there are people who go around blaming or saying that the scriptures are stupid because there are contradictions. The point is, we should not directly map it to what you're trying to see or experience in the material world. So as I said, even a mango's taste I cannot describe. When I cannot describe a mango's taste, how can I describe the experience that I get when I'm in silence and quietude and meditation and deeply absorbed? How can you describe this? But the compassion of the rishis and the masters who have gone before us, their compassion is that yes, it is indescribable, but yet we cannot leave it without saying anything about it. We want to say it because we want to inspire the next generation of people to come to also achieve to this experience and enjoy this. தமிழ் என்னது? யாம் பெற்ற இன்பம் இவ்வையகம்
பெருக.
பெருக. So may what I have experienced as this beautiful understanding of the truth or this experience of the self, may everybody also experience the same as the compassion with which they've given it out in terms of scriptures. What we call as scriptures is anything that the masters who've hit that understanding they speak is a scripture. So you will see contradictions here. So anejat ekam manaso javiyo. So it is not moving. So it says first it's not moving. Ejr is the root here word. Ejat comes from ejr, means to move. So it is unejat. It does not move. It is one. It is one. It is not moving. It is one. But it is faster than the mind. Okay. It is not moving, yet it's faster than the mind. Because for us, if you have to be fast, you have to move fast. That is our experience. Anything that has to be fast, it has to move fast. But here it is saying, no, it is not moving. Hence yet it is faster than the mind. Then it says, Na enat deva apnuvan purvam arshat. None of the devas, whenever there is a reference to deva in spiritual literature, understand it is a reference not to the deity, it's a reference to the functions, physiological, psychological functions that are operating within us. Agnirme vachashritaha vak hridaye hridayam mayi aham amrite amritam brahmani. Idhila varudilla. What is that? Rudramla, Rudratoda Nyasamla, in the Nyasam of Rudram. Agnirme vachishritaha. Agni is sitting in my vak. And this Agni is in my vak. Dikshush, Chandrama manaso jataha. The mind is Chandrama. The eyes are Surya. The ears are the Ashtadik, the 8 directions. So these are all devatas that are devatas as a representation. These are symbolic representations of your physiological, psychological functions that are happening within you. And you associate them. So there are these rishis who have found the association of Agni with Vak. So the devas implication here means the indriyas or the devatas that are functioning. So what it is saying is, Nainat deva apnuvan purvam arshat, which means it means that the indriyas cannot approach this. Before the indriyas come to approach this Isha that you're talking about, it moves faster than that. Tadhavato anyanatyeti tishtat. By sitting, by tishtat, next phrase is by sitting, tishtat. What does it do? Tadhavato anyanatyeti. It runs faster, moves faster than those who are moving faster. And it surpasses them just by sitting. And tasmin, in that, apaha matarishva dadati. In that, sitting in that, from there, it gives the ability for the waters and wind to operate. Which means, it is this power enables everything else that happens in this material universe. So the first shloka says, Iśāvāsya idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. So that Isha that is in everything is the power that enables everything to happen. So you see websites will be beautiful website created for a company. Underneath it will be written powered by some other company. So and that powered by will be written in very small font, because that company who's given, I have a company, I have given my company, somebody to make the website for my company, and he says, I have made the website, which only he puts his banner, then my company's banner will not be seen. So in that way, this Isha operates very, very silently. He doesn't want any propaganda. He doesn't want any, because he knows everything is happening because of me only. So he is there. So rather than saying it is that power that powers everything to happen. But how does it do? Just by mere presence. So this shloka, this mantra is very important to understand several things here. One is, it is trying to describe the indescribable, which means it is why it is saying that it is sitting in one place, it is not moving, yet it is faster than everything else. It is unmoving, yet it moves faster. The indriyas or my sense organs cannot approach it. My sense organs cannot try to reach it. Even if my sense organs are trying to get to that, it cannot, because it cannot perceive. Because what is powering my sense organs is that power. So how can my sense organs try to perceive that which is powering the sense organs? It's like trying to, if using the torch light, can you find the torch? It's almost like that, right? I can use the torch light to find, unless the torch is made in such a way that I turn that whatever. But using a simple example, I've got a torch light, I've got the lights coming out like this, I can search everything else, but I can't search the torch itself. The eyes can be used to see everything else, but it cannot see that which is powering the eyes. I can hear everything else, but I can't hear that which is giving the power of the auditory power to the ear. Using the ear, I cannot establish or investigate that. So this is out of the realm of the five senses. That is what it says. It is beyond the realm of the five senses. See, the moment you hit this, what happens to the mind? You look at this mantra, and again, as I say, we have to, when we get into some of the studies, it is important to prepare the mind in a certain way. You have to prepare the mind and then come and look at it. Otherwise, it can just be a word that falls off you. It can be a word that will come to Kupudin Patti, it will fall off. Like those small children playing the arrow, right? They'll hit the arrow, it will come hit you and fall off. It will not make any impact. It has to pierce you, right? So that piercing will happen only if you made your, and that is why sadhana is required. That is why yama, niyama, and all these practices that you do are required consistently, so that you remain in a state where you perceive these truths constantly. So the truth here is that this which, the moment I realize, oh my God, I'm completely helpless here. I cannot use the indriyas or the senses that I've thought, through which I've known everything in this world from my childhood. Everything that I've used is my sense organs, using which I've known. I just can't know this. So the Upanishad is pointing out the helplessness in you. So the moment you are helpless, what happens? You come to a certain level of humility. There is a certain sublimation of ego inside. Naturally, that's occurring. Right? This has to occur for knowledge to pierce. If I go sit there and I say that, oh, Upanishads I know, I have read all of that. Those are words. If this, by listening to this or by just contemplating on that, you instantly are exposed. You are exposed to your inability. You are exposed to your the helplessness that you are in. So the moment you are exposed to the helplessness, there must be a dropping of the ego. There will be a dropping of the ego. There will be a dropping of, there will be a natural humility that will come in to say that, oh my God, I don't know. And then it says, this Isha Tishtat, it is sitting there and it is powering everything that is occurring here. Everything is powered through this Isha that is sitting here. The Upanishad is saying, now you go. Don't run behind the Indriyas. Don't run behind the sense organs. Because it's not going to give you that understanding that you are fundamentally seeking or looking for. So that seeking is that for that unchanging thing within you. If the seeking is for that, then your senses are not going to give you that. Like in the Bible, there is a line that Christ says, "Be still and know that." It's a very, very simple line, but it's a very profound line. Chumma iru. Thai Manavar has told, Chumma iru, be still. What happens when you are still? You will know that. That is what you will actually know this. It is a way of saying, you know this.
Action and actionlessness.
Correct.
Action and actionlessness.
Correct. Actionlessness is, yeah. So there is this action of inquiry that is there in that actionlessness. So this constant perception that is there. Now the last part that I wanted to touch upon in this particular mantra, which is very important to realize, is I think Mama, you brought a very important point. Actionlessness. See, we always think we create an impact by doing something. Correct? Our mind always thinks that if I want to create an impact, I have to do something. Always. Have you ever thought about creating an impact by just being? When will that happen? That you create an impact by just being? Is you've built yourself in a certain way, you've made yourself in a certain way, that your whole inner self has been brought to a certain point that you just being in a certain place, you are able to create an impact. Because you're always on do. Our focus is always do. Do is important if you know how to be. If you lose the focus on how to be and just focus on do, then it will be unending cycle of do. Do. So the shloka also says that, it says, the last part says, Tasmin apo matarishva dadhati, which means being there, being in the same place. Tishthat tasmin. Tishthat is sitting in one place. This thing, that consciousness or sat or isha, whatever you call it, this is operating in you, is powering apaha. Apas is waters. Matarishva means the wind. It's giving etc. So it doesn't say all. So essentially it says the waters and the winds are given power to operate in the world by the presence of this Isha, just by presence. Think about what is Isha doing. Is it going and every day, is it going and telling the clouds, hey, go and rain now? Is it going and waking up Surya Bhagavan and saying, we have to get up when it is 4:30 in the morning? No. Isha is not doing any of that. There is a natural dharma, natural order of things. What Isha is established in that natural order of things. So what it says is, if you are established in that natural order of things, you are established within that, then whatever needs to happen will happen. In your presence it will happen. That doesn't, of course, the other extreme doesn't mean to say that I have to just be, I don't have to do anything. No, the teacher has told that I have to just be, I'm not going to do anything. It's not like that. Because the body still requires things to be done. The body will still decay. You sitting here, your legs will become numb. You will feel like wanting to go to toilet. Your stomach will ask for food. You have to do all those things that needs to be done. And if you are in society, you are expecting people to do something for you, you have to do something for them. But the question is, from where you are doing this? From what space are you operating? So that is this mantra. This is the way this mantra should be perceived. Otherwise, there is a very simple way of perceiving this mantra to say that, that Isha, it is unmoving, it is everywhere, it is giving the power to everything, and that Isha is the one that is enabling everything in this world. You can talk all of that Isha in the third person. And you'll be done. You'll say that, yes, I understood the mantra, the shloka, great, now I know Iśāvāsya Upanishad. But it has not triggered anything here, right? It has not created a stir here.
It has to transform.
It has to transform. It has to stir. So that stirring, always we must remember, if any philosophical truth comes in whatever form, it could be from any person, in whatever form it comes, if it doesn't create a stir in you, either there are two things. You just ignore it, drop it. Doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter to me. Why does it? It can be okay that Krishna has said, but it doesn't make a stir in me, it doesn't matter. Or you could say, maybe I have not understood, maybe I have to investigate further to understand. There's only two ways. Because it doesn't create a stir in you, it doesn't make something better out of each one of us in terms of the way I see the world, perceive, operate, and engage, then clearly that's a book. Even Adi Shankara in his shlokas at the end says, the Vedas, the Upanishads, everything is a waste. Everything is aparavidya. It is all aparavidya. It is all vidya which is of something else, which I don't care.
Nirvana Shatakam is Nirvana Shatakam. Abedo.
Ama. Nirvana Shatakam, it starts with, of course, how does it start?
Buddhi, Mano.
Mano Buddhi Ankara Chittani. Ama. So, of course, it starts with saying, I am not any of these sense organs, I am not any of this. And it goes also to say, na tirtho, na vedo, na mantro, na tirtho, all of that. So I don't know mantras, I don't know Vedas, I don't know nothing.
Na guru na shishya.
Na guru na shishya, correct. Na guru na shishya. Even the guru doesn't make any sense if it doesn't create a stir in me. He's just another human being. So that is this mantra. We'll just chant it one more time and we'll close today. Okay. Satya chant பண்ணலாமா அத ஒரு தடவை? अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयो
अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयो
नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत्
नैनद्देवा आप्नुवन् पूर्वमर्षत्
तद्धावतोऽन्यानत्येति तिष्ठत्. அங்க We can do it.
दत्तावनो नान्यते तिष्ठत्
तद्धावतो ज्ञानत्येति तिष्ठत्
दत्तावतो ज्ञानतेति तिष्ठत्
तस्मिन् अपो मातरिश्वा दधाति
तस्मिन्नपो मातरिश्वा ददाति
ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय
असतो मा सद्गमय
तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय
तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय
मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय
मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं
पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि जगदम्बिकायेति समर्पयामि सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि